You know, it's one thing when you do something and then you see like a bunch of people essentially copy you. And it's like you actually see a result of in real time people actively looking at what you're doing and then copying it or stealing it. Something TikTok's been doing for years. But it's another thing when it's like you have a generalized opinion and and then like you just start seeing other people in different venues and different walks of life all come to the exact same conclusion. And it's hard to associate yourself as an outlier when you see so many times things happen where it's like, all right, are you being a contrarian, or is it like you're following, are you being a contrarian? Are you following the pack? Are you just going against the grain? What exactly is happening? Like, are these thoughts your own, or are you just another sheep? And then sometimes you just gotta like just say, fuck it. This is how I feel. This is how I think about something. That's what it is. If everyone else is coming to the same conclusion, be that as it may, whatever. So, for the most part, what I'm getting at is that for the Fantastic Four movie, I made a review calling it boring. Like, it's on my thumbnail and everything. I say outright, this is boring. It was a boring movie. It wasn't a bad movie. It was a boring movie. It was very boring. Nothing happened. Nothing was worthwhile. Nothing made me want to learn more about the Fantastic Four. Nothing made me think that, oh, this did better than the other Fantastic Four movies. And it's like, no, it was boring. And it was like, it just didn't do their origin story, which I gave it props for, because honestly, you don't really want to with these characters because it doesn't really justify anything. Now, for a character like Spider-Man, you miss out on key important factors in his life, thus leading into the Iron Boy that we have now, and his shitty constant movies that keep coming out. But it goes to show you exactly how ridiculous the Fantastic Four thing has become, considering the fact that essentially shill media, which is a thing, regardless of what anyone tells you, shill media is a thing. And as much as shill media exists, oh, excuse me, I am suffering from a cold right now. But as much as shill media exists in massive droves, you have the crazy ass people who essentially are flown out to see these movies weeks in advance. They do interviews with these directors and the writers and shit like that, and then they sit there and say, "Oh no, like we're not paid," and like they have nothing but blaringly great reviews and whatnot. And what's ridiculous to me about that is that, in accordance with shill media, that shit isn't new. They've been doing shit like that for the longest. As long as critics have existed, they have been shills. There have been people who have sold a positive review simply because the studio paid them to give a positive review. And that there's nothing nuance about that to sit there and think that, oh, that's going to change all of a sudden because the integrity of the internet. Like, no, god damn it, these people don't care. Like, you can see it when they're talking about this shit. They're soulless, they're lifeless. Like, they have no energy or drive behind none of the shit they're talking about. They're just speaking out their ass. Like, I just love the Fantastic Four. It was so great. It just had me on the edge. Marvel is back. Like that doesn't make you feel crazy that a majority of those people who are saying currently Marvel is back are the same people when they saw the last Marvel movie said Marvel was back. When they saw Thunderbolts, they said Marvel was back. I can't even remember the movie that came out before Thunderbolts. And it was like you would just hear that over and over again. And you have to wonder, all right, at what point will it actually, like, will you be telling the truth? But then again, it's like, if they keep saying it, maybe eventually it will come true. But for the most part, it hasn't. It hasn't. So you got to understand, looking at those people and then looking at the majority of people who essentially keep constantly bringing up what went down with the Fantastic Four movie and just breaking down that it was just boring. That's something I look at and I understand that, like, no, that's just the general consensus. Like, I I even found myself kind of, I was watching a Critical Drinker video when he reviewed the Fantastic Four movie, and he said he liked it. And my face scrunched up. And then I was like, you know what? He liked it. That's his opinion. Whatever. You know, there's like, but at the same token, I also criticized in my review that a majority of people who will say that they like this movie will only do it because of the fact that this doesn't fit the typical Marvel formula. And I truly believe that he is one of those people who fit in that category because of the fact that where it's like, well, this isn't normal Marvel shit. So because of that, it already reaches a different level of standard that I am privy to because of what Marvel usually gives me. So by it genuinely just being a different kind of movie already sets it above the rest. And that's fucked up. That's a terrible way to engage or look at a movie, but that's exactly what the Fantastic Four did. And considering that nothing else goes on within that movie outside of it not being the typical Marvel formulaic bullshit, that's the reason why I call it boring. And again, I didn't call it a bad movie. I call Superman a bad movie. Superman is very much a very bad movie. But with Fantastic Four, it's not something I would watch again. It's not something that I look at and was like, oh yeah, like they like some really intricate and well-crafted writing went into this. This is something that's going to be studied. This is something that I would enjoy to buy or add to my collection of movies or something like that. This would be a movie that I would purchase and be like, hey, I might not care for what is currently going on within the MCU, but I wouldn't mind having this movie in my collection. And the only movie I've done that with since the new era of the MCU has been Deadpool and Wolverine. And I have so many misgivings about that movie. I've done a fucking review on that when it first came out. Even when I rewatched my Blu-ray of it, when I finally like sat down and watched it, I sat there and I just kept wincing at so many different moments and scenes where I was like, all right, I know what's going on and I know what this is leading into and I don't like it. But also, woo, my boy, I'm gonna make a name for myself. And I start smiling. But at the same time, when the movie was over with, I hated what it is they did to Deadpool. I can't stand what they did to Deadpool and Wolverine. I hate it. They destroyed everything about his character, especially when it comes to his love for Vanessa. And I hated it. I hate watching it. But again, that leads into my favorite scene in the Deadpool Wolverine movie, which is Wolverine just tearing into Deadpool in the car and just roasting him. and like one of the best acted scenes that you ever got out of Hugh Jackman. And like just when he was like, from a goddamn stripper, like that was such a great scene. But again, it's talking about a subject matter that I don't agree with. So you gotta take the good with the bad. But it's ridiculous now looking at the Fantastic Four movie and what's happening, because essentially, I know I haven't gotten to the meat and potatoes of this conversation, but essentially people are deeming it a flop. The movie was 200 million, I believe, and it is currently done like 300 million at the time of me doing this video. But at the same time, that doesn't really count for everything going on with what they're going to have going on, but everyone has been able to figure out the math now, so it's like, all right, you say the movie was 200 million. And it's like, well, take into account marketing, take into account all these interviews, take into account all of this shit you had going on, different spots you've been placing, the commercials, the ads, all that. Well, that's marketing, but like all of that shit. And it's like, and you say you spent 200 million, and it's like, you only made back 300 million. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all. So it goes to show you that, like, because it would get like a 68 or 66% drop off in theater retention after the fact. Because again, like, word of mouth is a very powerful thing, and especially when it comes to blockbusters and popcorn films and things like that. It's one thing to be an artsy fartsy film And then it's like people just like, oh, so powerful, so moving, blah blah blah, Oscar bait, bullshit. Those do whatever. I don't know anybody who saw that damn. I don't even know the dude's name. The movie about the guy making the building that was up for an Oscar last year. Whatever. Or that thing with the girl that was the Russian stripper that married the crime boss's son or whatever. The thing that won Best Picture. No one talked about that shit. No one I knew went to go see that. But Dune 2, everybody was talking about Dune, but that didn't win. Lame. So lame. But that speech at the end of Dune 2, come on, man. But I digress. But essentially, like with Fantastic Four, there's nothing in that movie that's like that. Nothing happens in that movie that I think back on and I'm like, and it put a smile on my face and it's like, ooh, yay. Silver Surfer shows up. Whoop-de-doo. They don't fight the Silver Surfer, they outrun her in a spaceship. How do they get rid of Silver Surfer? Well, they don't fight her. They the Human Torch plays a bunch of audio messages that make her cry, and she flies off into space. After he broke down and learned her language, I mean, you could have easily told the difference between a softer version of the language, especially if you like understood that what she said was the same as what was played or like what he was listening to, which also just as a convenient plot point just happened to be a thing that they were collecting these different discs from these different planets that had sentient life that were able to leave audio logs or whatever. I guess it's such a it's a dumb movie. It's not bad, but dumb. It's very dumb. It doesn't make you bad. It just means you're dumb. But I'm brought back to the fact that it's hilarious to me because I actually had like the first two comments on my Fantastic Four video was that one person just said it's a good movie. And then my response was like, that was a great rebuttal. Like that's a wonderful argument. You win. Like you know, like that's fantastic. I concede immensely to you just say, nah, it's good. Like, oh wow, sure. Like, no, it's a piece. Like, no, idiot. Like, it's stupid. It's a dumb movie. It's a dumb, boring movie. It's whatever. Not bad by a metric of just being like, oh no, like this is unwatchable. It's just boring. Jesus Christ. But, and like another comment that I got, someone was like, they were taken back. They just didn't want to look at my video because the first thing I do was I asked the question, why is it called First Steps? And I still don't know. No one's answered me yet. I still don't know why it's called First Steps, because that's a dumb tagline to have in your movie. That's the 5th iteration of the Fantastic Four being brought to theaters. And if you're going to do the math, yes, it's the 5th. The very first one was the one that came out in like the 1990s or the 1980s, where they had the thing and he had the animatronic mouth and like Ninja Turtle puppetry work for his face. It's like a movie that they made, but they never truly released. It basically got screwed over by the industry, realistically. But it's kind of one of those movies that was just made so they could keep the license of the Fantastic Four, but not necessarily that it was done to actually do right by the Fantastic Four. And then you have the ones with Jessica Alba, and you have those two. So that's 3 movies. And then you got the one with Michael B. Jordan and those people. And that's 4. And then you have this one. This is 5. So that's 5, ladies and gentlemen. Count them 5. All right. So this is the 5th iteration. They don't do anything space worthy that would declare it a first. Nor do they do anything that is worthy of the notion of first, nor is it that it's them being indoctrinated into the MCU, because they're not even in the MCU's timeline. So that alone makes it ridiculous to call it first. It's the equivalent of like what Spider-Man saying Homecoming. It's not as if the notion of Homecoming and like the high school angle made any sense outside of the fact that it was like they just did the Homecoming dance. But Other than that, it's like that's a stupid tagline to have. That's a very stupid tagline to have, and so it it's something that just boggled my mind. It is mind boggling, if you will. But I find it odd that essentially both that Superman, a movie I consider bad, but starring one of DC's top people, was a movie that did okay. It did okay. Now that's a very bad thing as far as DC is concerned, but in the scope of these movies, I'll skip over that. But it did okay. But you compare that to Fantastic Four, which is something that was kind of being propped up and hyped up as this new venture that the MCU was taking, especially with them introducing Doctor Doom in the next Avengers movie, that this was going to be something that's laying down the groundwork for the future concepts of the MCU and all that they're going to push forward for and all that's going to be positive. And for this movie itself to just kind of be abysmal, that lets you further know exactly how ridiculous it is that what Marvel is doing, what it is that the movie industry is going for, or what Disney is trying to push with the MCU shit, and just how bad they have brought themselves in the forefront. And it's just, you look back on it and it's like, yeah, superhero movies have reached a point of no return. And I'm not saying that there can't be, these bombshell great superhero movies that come out every now and again. No, but we're not going to have that superhero boom that we had back in the day. No, it's not going to happen. You have done what Westerns have done. And essentially you have facilitated yourself of oversaturating your market with bullshit before you even attempted to do things that are like worth a damn. But you've oversaturated the market with bullshit just to get a cheap buck, and now you're reaping what you sow. And so because of that, you're now trying to reach into your bag and pull out whatever little trick you can to get people hyped and excited for nothing. Like, just don't question anything, just get excited for the next product. But fuck you. I would have loved to watch the fact, again, I actually was rooting for both the Fantastic Four and the Superman movie to actually be good. I knew Superman should have been better than the Fantastic Four by all standards, but with Superman being as bad as it was, I had no hope for Fantastic Four doing anything well, because looking at what they were showing for the movie, I was like, oh, this is a lot of nothing. So whatever. I mean, one of the main things they kept showing the Thing do was bust down some pillars in the trailer. And if you've seen the movie, that's all the Thing does. That's all he do in the entire movie. So again, boring. It's a guy that's rocking. He hurts. He punches. And it's like, well, let's have him go up against Galactus, and then he don't do nothing. Okay, how about you have him like at least do space shit? He's an astronaut. Whatnot. It was like, well, he got him piloting the rocket for a quick hot second, I guess. I say that with an epitome of spiciness. I guess he do okay. I guess he do something. Like, Jesus Christ. It's just, I look back on this shit and I laugh because of the fact that it's like you can see these people who essentially, like these people who leave these comments in my comment section are just these shills and the shill media and like just responders of giving reviews and critiques on this shit, and where it's like you can tell no lessons learned behind all this shit. These people don't retain the fact that they've seen this movie. I guarantee you that upon Avengers Doomsday coming out, whatever it is that was mentioned or brought up in the Fantastic Four movie, that movie essentially will fuck over or retcon. They're not gonna care. They never do. And it's like, and it won't be explained until some Disney Plus TV show brings it up as a rabbit out of its ass to try and cover the bullshit that they didn't mention all within the Avengers Doomsday movie that happened years and years ago. Also, that some people who constantly keep mentioning how that's a glaring issue will then be like, well, I guess like the shill media will then be like, see, they answered it, they answered it. It's the equivalent of Mephisto being brought up in the Ironheart show. And it's like Mephisto has been teased for years, but not because Marvel knew what the fuck they were doing with the character. It's like, no, they just had shit and people just dropped Mephisto stuff. So it's like, oh, everyone just started mentioning, are they going to show Mephisto? Are they going to show Mephisto? And then it was like, well, they keep asking for it, do it. And then they did it. And it was like, all right, what does it mean? Nothing. Doesn't mean anything. Because no one knows who this character is, let alone do people actually understand the magnitude of introducing this character or what exactly you justified by introducing this character, or like what it is that you're going to have by introducing this character. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. But I saw the people lose their shit from seeing Mephisto appear on screen in a glorious compilation. Mr. Gridley, I believe is his name. He's just swell with some of the stuff that he puts together as little compilations and stuff. But it's one of those things where Grizzy, Mr. Grizzy, that's his name. Yeah, but it's like I can't help but look at that stuff and get taken back by the fact where it's like, yeah, this was the same thing that was done prior. You know, it's the same thing that was kind of brought up with Captain America making Thor's hammer move a little bit. And it's like, you did what you did in Avengers Endgame, but that it was like it was just done. But the justification behind it is kind of bullshit. And then at the same time, even the notion of the hammer itself is like we've gone past it already. Like the hammer's not even supposed to be here, but even still, it was like, all right, yeah, it was something where it was like, yeah, it made the crowd hoop and holler, but on further retrospect, nah. Same thing with Spider-Man, and then the females jumping up and saving the day and blah blah blah. It's so much bullshit that you have to ingest and then retain. And then you see these people who claim to be huge super fans and just love everything that comes out. They love all the stuff that's done. And then they do everything and anything that they can to just ignore the glaring issues. No one would have a problem if the Fantastic Four movie, like, people called it out for what it was, and then that was the end of it. You know? And it's like again, I said, I already stated that shill media has always existed and whatnot. But it's the fact that you say what you say, and then you are met with this animosity that comes with essentially a lack of understanding on the other person's part. Where, like, again, it's like, all right, you're defending it for defense sake, but you have no argument for a defense. You're just naturally programmed to want to protect something that's being said negative about whatever. I love Dragon Ball Z. If anyone has an issue with Dragon Ball Z, I am more than willing and capable of listening to whatever you have to say. But know this, I will call you out on anything that you get wrong in your understanding or determination of Dragon Ball Z. So regardless of how you think or how you feel, you are talking with someone who not only has every episode, has watched it more than once, has seen different aspects of the show, whether it be in the actual Japanese or in the English dub, and understands fully what it is that the series was going through, what the series was trying to do, what the series did, and what was happening behind the scenes, as well as the end-all result. And just what naturally occurred throughout Japanese anime as a byproduct of the popularity of Dragon Ball Z. I understand all of that shit. So if you sit there and tell me Naruto's better than Dragon Ball Z, bitch, you better have a good fucking case to defend yourself with, because one's a piece of shit and the other one is Dragon Ball Z. Okay? But I I feel that there's no problem to have a recourse about this shit, or that you people can't sit down and actually justify what's happening. I've kind of gone off the rails with this video. I apologize, but whatever. This was not my intentions, but it's what happened. But I feel that you need, just on a baseline of what it is I'm trying to get at, is that you need to be able to recognize the bullshit pattern. Pattern recognition is already a skill, a skill issue that these people truly have. But the bullshit pattern, that's what truly needs to happen. Because every now and again, you're seeing more and more people look at this stuff and try to, and like kind of wince and twinge, and they're just like reeling back, like, yeah, they kind of fucked up with this movie, or like, yeah, this one didn't do right. These characters didn't make any sense. What was happening? What was going on? Looking at the box office, looking at the critic reviews and all that stuff, and it's like you're getting that every now and again. It's not happening enough, but you're getting it now and again. But as long as they're able to get those shills to go crazy, the nerd culture will always be at a disadvantage. and essentially, that's the main takeaways. I don't give a fuck about these people being happy with liking what they like. I give a fuck about the thing that I like being destroyed in order to make something that people who are happy with anything getting anything. So I hope that makes sense. Oh man, I'm sick. But yeah, my friend Robert, you heard him on different episodes I've done and shit like that before. But my close friend Robert, he is someone that I always make fun of because of the fact that he just likes everything. He's someone who genuinely just likes everything. But he can't tell you exactly what it is that he likes about something, just other than that he likes it. And so it's something to where I always point out that where he gets upset at me by saying that I'm always negative or I don't like anything, I tell him, if this was actually done in a way that I liked, it wouldn't then become something you didn't like. You still would like it. It's just that now I also like it. And that's the fucking problem. Is that regardless of what you see, you're going to like it because it just has this name associated with it. So whatever they make, you're going to like. But with me, and it's like, all right, respect for the name that you're being associated with. And if you do that justice at least, then 9 times out of the 10, I'm going to like you. I understand the limitations of film and adaptations and shit like that. I understand those things. Everyone understands those things. You know, and it's like, that's not like that's a huge hurdle to get over, especially within the nerd community and nerd culture. Yet, the shit that we get, I'll go fuck yourself. The live action One Piece, I have multiple videos talking about how garbage that series is. And I'm going to have multiple more talking about how the second season is going to be garbage. I don't give a fuck if you made a 3D Chopper. The 3D Chopper you made is based off of the current image of Chopper, not the image of Chopper during that timeline. Fuck you. And you've done absolutely everything possible to ruin all of the arcs that happen within the East Blue, and they're important, and the importance that those arcs have and how they justify and shape multiple characters. You have completely gone out of your way to fuck that over for absolutely no reason other than the fact that you just could. And I'm supposed to sit here and go, oh no, it's fine, because major nerd culture people are talking that talk about shit. If it doesn't retain a Star Wars or Marvel or DC, they just tend to not have any time for it or not care about it, unless it's such a massive degradation towards the source material like Cowboy Bebop. And as hypocritical as I find that, I still, it would behoove me to not want to justify talking about how terrible they are in representing One Piece, especially when I consider One Piece to be the most popular anime that currently exists. Fuck, I've seen multiple people who are huge anime aficionados that essentially just immediately state, I don't look at live action stuff because they always tend to get it wrong. And then with me, I'm just upset that there's just not another voice out there letting people know this is bullshit. Just stay away from it. No, no. But I'm not that lucky. So I don't care if my views get a measly 35, 28 or whatever. I'm gonna still say what I say and I'm gonna stand on it. And I feel that like if more people had that mentality when it came to movie shit, video game shit, just nerd culture shit in general, we would all get a positive, because these people are only after money. And if I'm sitting here explaining to you how you can gain the maximum amount of money behind these things that are deeply rooted within a culture that essentially you don't understand, why don't you listen? Because what you're doing isn't getting you any money. You're only here for money. Okay, this is all you have to do. It's real simple, real easy, nice fix. And you're gonna get the maximum amount of money without losing anything. It's like, then do it. Why is it that you have Critical Drinker constantly making reviews on movies that immediately get like so many people upset towards his viewpoint, when it's like, all right, then why haven't any filmmaker like decided to talk to this guy about some of the shit that they brought up? And it's like him, Mauler, Heels versus Babyface, fucking Eric July. These people have deep-seated roots within comic books, movie lores and things like that. Movie lores, comic books, like these characters that like they spent years crafting a platform where they've talked about this stuff. And then they've built their audience and they built their repertoire big enough to where now they have this massive amount of people who listen to them. Don't you think it would be just a net positive if they were to sit there and go, hey, I was contacted by these people to talk about their next movie and I was able to fix their fucked up script. So now the movie should be better. It's better than what it was. And you don't think that would read like that would just give you like just a huge net positive in the long run? It's like I don't understand why it like, why is it such a negative thing to be negative? in an industry that demands critique. If that suits you better, for the cognitive dissonance. But your industry. Did I use that word correctly? I don't care. Fuck it. But you have an industry that is just riddled with plot holes, character development, issues, fucking crazy ass directors doing whatever the fuck they want with a project, regardless of what the actual idea of this project is supposedly going. What's the name of that dude who fucked up Star Wars apparently? Ryan Gosling? No. Oh fuck. But you know what I'm talking about. The guy that everyone blamed for killing off Luke Skywalker because he just really wanted to do that for some reason. Then made an argument about the rich like benefiting regardless if the Empire or the Republic does anything. Really stupid. I don't even like Star Wars. It was stupid. But it's like, look at like, and that's such a massive franchise, and it's like, look at what happened to that franchise. Like, if you remember what was going on while that was happening in real time, how fucked was that shit, right? Like, think about how crazy it was to be a Star Wars fan during the time of the second of the sequel trilogy. And then it's like, you're dealing with the purple-haired lady, the warp speed thing, the hyperspace jump thing, the the Asian girl supposedly getting off of social media, then getting on like a couple of years later. Just the rigmarole. Like, think back to what happened back then, and then compare that to where Star Wars is now, and then think to exactly what was the benefit of that movie being the way that it was, as well as people's reaction to defend that movie. And then you think about the overall concept of what has happened and like what's going on currently within Star Wars and everything, and just and like think about that, like piece all that shit together, and it was like, well, back then, if you called that movie bad, depending on the crazy ass shill fans, they jumped down your throat because those people were so desperate to get more Star Wars content, they didn't care how they got it. So whatever they got, they were going to love. And again, I remind you of my friend Robert. But at the same time, the people who were going against that movie, a lot of those people were Star Wars fans who were just upset at the direction that movie was taken, even based off of what like they were letting pass from the J.J. Abrams movie, which was a bad movie in all rights. But compared to the movie that came afterwards, it was a shit show. The movie that came afterwards was a shit show. So they, like, understandably had more misgivings being brought on, because it was like, well, the first movie we were given a pass because we were trying to see what you were going to build up to. But after that, you did this movie, and it's like, dude, what the fuck? I remember after seeing that movie, speaking with one of my friends, I believe Kevin, and he said that he really enjoyed the fight scene with Rey and Kylo Ren. I can't remember names, but I don't like Star Wars. And like with Rey and Kylo Ren fighting off the little red guard people after they killed Smoke, and he was like, he really enjoyed that fight scene, and he was like, he thought it was pretty cool. And then I remember, I was like, I thought like the whole movie was just whatever to me. And then like one day I rewatched that fight scene, and I was like, this is bullshit. And I remember listening later on and like seeing people talk about how bad of a choreographed fight scene that was. And I was like, oh, so it's not just me. And then it was like rewatching it, and it was like you're seeing the actors miss their cues. The actress who played Rey was too slow. The guy who played Kylo, he was too slow. And a lot of people, there's like a lot of the guards were just kind of standing around waiting for their cue to jump in. And it's like, this was poorly done because you're having these like individuals go up against a group of people, but it's not going fast enough to justify a group of people jumping them. Instead, you have them waiting their turns to strike, which is typical of a poorly choreographed fight scene. And it was all there. It was all there. And it's like, regardless of how you watch it, you can see it. And it's just disgusting. Their weapons that got the little shocky bits, like they might actually hit Kylo Ren and Rey multiple times, but it's like, oh, they edit the effect out so you don't see them actually get hit by it or whatever. It was bad. It was really bad. But again, upon me first watching it, I didn't care for it. Like, it was nothing. The whole movie was nothing, so I didn't even pay attention. But then upon actually seeing it again and wanting to just look at the fight scene, I was like, oh my goodness, this is shit. But yet, that was my friend's favorite part. And it's like, in retrospect, this shit just speaks volumes. So I urge you, I should end this now, but I urge you, for all who are still listening, the concept of caring about or thinking that the MCU is going to change for the better, they're about to lead into some good shit. Let's pull the bullshit meter back a little bit, all right? Everything that they've been doing, they've been planning behind Kang the Conqueror. They've gotten rid of it because of what happened between an actor and his private life, and how that has nothing to fucking do with the movie industry. Because even now, no one cares. No one cares anymore. So if they still had him, it wouldn't be an issue. But it is what it is, right? So think on, like, when I say the retrospect thing and all that, I want you to just kind of put yourself in a future like you shoes. Do you truly believe that you will feel this passionate about the Fantastic Four movie in the future? Regardless of what the Avengers movie, both the Avengers movies are going to do, whatever Spider-Man is going to do, whatever they're going to do with Doom or the Fantastic Four later on, do you truly believe that this Fantastic Four movie is something that's worthy, let alone is like in the realm of a superhero movie that's like justifiably has every reason whatsoever to have you at their defense? To like hold on to like sit there and talk about all the positives of this movie and all the things that you think were like so well done and what it's going to do for the future for the future of the MCU. Oh shit, excuse me. Do you truly believe that this movie would warrant that? Think of the last MCU movie. Can you even name it? Do you even feel that strongly about that movie than you do this movie? Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's time to wrap it up. I'm dying. But I think that more than anything, you have to look at this shit, like take a step back, look at the groundwork that's been laid out by Disney, Marvel, all these people and everything else, and like the movie industry and whatnot. Look at the groundwork that's been laid out. Recognize the bullshit that has been done in the past that you have not liked this series or these movies to do. And then tell me, do you truly believe that these movies coming up aren't going to do the same shit? When they have less of a stable groundwork? And I'm going to leave you with that. Yeah, I'm dying. All right. This has been another episode of Fun with Flame. I've been your host, Dave the Flame, and it's always good people. Thank you for listening to my crazy ass rants. I just felt like talking about this shit after I got off work. Yeah, and I went to work sick. Yeah. All right. That's it. What is it? Oh, yeah. I hope you have fun.